In a village nestled deep within the lush, vibrant heart of West Africa, there existed a place where nature and community thrived together in harmony. This village, named Kojani, was surrounded by dense forests where tall, ancient trees stood as guardians of countless tales and secrets. The villagers lived in round huts crafted from mud and thatch, their conical roofs reaching up to the sky, and vibrant flowers adorned the paths between them. It was a place where everyone knew each other, and stories of wisdom, bravery, and kindness were passed down through the generations. As the rays of the sun rose over the horizon, casting its warm light across the village, I watched the scene unfold before me. Children chased after playful goats and chickens, their laughter echoing through the air. Women gracefully balanced clay pots filled with cool water on their heads, their colorful wraps swaying as they walked. The aroma of freshly baked cassava bread wafted from nearby huts, mingling with the earthy scent of the forest. The story is told by Kofi, a young man known in our village for insatiable curiosity and love for adventure. He is a farmer who likes to explore the forests to discover new plants, trees, and animals that thrive in the dense tropical climate. Little did I know that on this day, my life and the fate of our entire village would change forever. The village square was alive with activity as I made my way through the crowd. Traders called out their wares, displaying vibrant fabrics, intricate beadwork, and baskets overflowing with fresh produce. Children played games of ayo, their small hands deftly moving stones across wooden boards. Under the shade of a massive baobab tree, the village elders sat in deep discussion, their weathered faces etched with wisdom. As I approached, my heart raced with excitement. In my hand, I clutched a small object that glowed with an otherworldly light. The villagers, sensing something extraordinary, gathered around me. "Good morning, Kofi," called out Esme, a kindly young woman who ran the village's most popular fresh fruit stall. "What have you found today?" I couldn't contain my smile as I replied, "Something incredible. Look." Slowly I opened my hand to reveal a small golden seed, its surface shimmering in the sunlight like nothing we had ever seen before. Kwame, the village blacksmith, leaned in closer, his eyes wide with wonder. "By spirits, what is that?" "I found it deep in the forest while I was searching for new edible plants," I explained, my voice tinged with awe. "It's unlike anything I've ever seen." The crowd murmured in amazement, their eyes fixed on the glowing seed in my palm. Some reached out to touch it, while others whispered prayers of protection. The air buzzed with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Sensing the importance of my discovery, I made my way to the village elders who sat beneath the ancient baobab tree. Their faces, lined with years of experience, turned to greet me as I approached. Elder Amina, her silver hair wrapped in a vibrant headscarf, spoke first. "Welcome, Kofi. What brings you here today?" I held out the seed, its golden light dancing across their curious faces. "I found this in the forest. It glows like gold. Do you know what it is?" Elder Kwesi, known for his vast knowledge of our people's history and legends, leaned forward to examine the seed. His eyes widened in recognition. This is a seed from the legendary golden palm tree. It is said to bring great fortune to those who plant it, but it must be nurtured with care and honesty. My heart leapt at his words. "Then we must plant it in the village. It could bring us prosperity," I exclaimed, my mind racing with possibilities. Elder Amina raised her hand, her expression serious. "Indeed, but remember, Kofi, the tree's magic will only flourish if it is tended with pure intentions and shared with the community. Elder Osei, the oldest among them, spoke up, his voice carrying the weight of ancient wisdom. Many have sought the golden palm tree's power, but few have succeeded. It requires more than just planting the seed. It needs the heart of the village, the unity of its people. I stood tall, filled with determination. I believe in our village. We can do this together. The elders exchanged glances, their eyes shining with a mixture of hope and caution. After a moment of silent communication, they nodded in agreement. "Very well, Kofi," Elder Ire Amina said. "Let us gather the villagers and plant this seed of hope." Word spread quickly through Kojani, and soon the entire village had gathered at the edge of our settlement. The air was thick with anticipation as I carefully dug a small hole in the rich, dark earth. Children whispered excitedly to each other, while adults watched with a mixture of hope and trepidation. With reverence, I gently placed the golden seed into the hole. As I covered it with soil, a collective gasp rose from the crowd. The ground began to glow faintly, pulsing with a warm, golden light. "Look!" cried little Amma, her small finger pointing at the spot where we had planted the seed. "It's magic." I stepped back, my heart pounding with excitement and a touch of fear. What had we set in motion? Days passed, and we watched in wonder as the seed sprouted into a small sapling. Its leaves shimmered with golden hues, catching the sunlight and casting dancing reflections across the village. The entire community came together to care for our precious new treasure. Esme, the fruit vendor, was the first to volunteer for watering duty. "This tree is special," she said, her eyes gleaming. "We must ensure it thrives." Kwame, the blacksmith, nodded in agreement. "Yes, we must take turns watching over it and protecting it from harm." I felt a surge of pride in our village's unity. "I will build a fence around it to keep it safe from animals," I offered. Together, we constructed a protective barrier around the sapling, our hands working in unison, our hearts beating as one. As the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, we nurtured our golden palm tree with unwavering dedication. As the seasons changed, our beloved tree grew taller and stronger. Its trunk, once thin and delicate, now stood proud and steady. Golden fronds reached towards the sky, their leaves rustling in the warm breeze. The entire village seemed to glow with a soft, magical light that emanated from our treasured tree. One morning, as the sun rose over Kojani, we awoke to an astonishing sight. The golden palm tree had begun to bear fruit golden coconuts that shimmered with an inner light. "Look at it!" exclaimed Odile, a young weaver, her voice filled with awe. "It's more beautiful than I ever imagined." Elder Kwesi, who had been watching the tree's progress with keen interest, spoke to the gathered villagers. "The tree is a symbol of our unity and hard work. We must continue to care for it and share its blessings." As we harvested the first of the golden fruits, we discovered that each one held a unique gift. One fruit bestowed wisdom upon those who ate it, another courage, and yet another strength. It seemed that the tree knew exactly what each person needed most. I held one of the fruits in my hands, marveling at its warmth and weight. "This tree has brought us so much," I said, looking around at my fellow villagers. "We must remember to use its gifts wisely and to help one another." Kwame, the blacksmith, nodded solemnly. "Yes, we must never let greed or jealousy divide us." In the days that followed, we gathered in the village square to share the fruits among ourselves. The air was filled with excitement and a sense of reverence as each person stepped forward to receive their gift. I watched as Esme, who had always doubted her abilities as a cook, bit into a golden fruit. Her eyes widened, and a smile spread across her face. "I can taste flavors I never knew existed," she exclaimed. "I understand now how to blend spices in ways I never imagined." Kwame, who had been struggling to master a new metalworking technique, found that after eating his fruit, his hands moved with newfound precision and skill. "It's as if the metal speaks to me now," he said in wonder. Even the children were not left out. Little Amma, who had always been shy, stood up straighter after tasting her fruit. With a clear voice, she began to tell stories that captivated everyone who listened. As I observed the changes in my fellow villagers, I felt a warmth spreading through my chest. The golden palm tree had indeed brought prosperity to Kojani, but not in the way we had initially imagined. Instead of material wealth, it had given us something far more valuable: the ability to grow, to improve ourselves, and to contribute more fully to our community. Just as we thought our lives couldn't get any better, a new challenge arose. One morning, we awoke to find a large group of men armed with weapons at the edge of our village. They were led by a man named Diallo, whose eyes gleamed with barely concealed greed as he gazed upon our golden palm tree. "We have heard tales of your magical tree," Diallo announced, his voice carrying across the village square. "We have come to claim it for ourselves. Such power should not be hoarded by one small village." The men shouted threats and raised their weapons as if they were ready for a massacre. A murmur of fear and anger rippled through the crowd. I stepped forward, my heart pounding, but my voice was steady. "This tree belongs to all of Kojani," he said. "Its magic comes from our unity and care. It cannot be simply taken." Diallo's eyes narrowed. "We shall see about that. We will return at sunset. If you do not agree to share the tree's power with us, we will take it by force." As the menacing group of men retreated to the forest's edge, panic began to spread through Kojani. How could we protect our precious tree? Elder Amina called for calm. "Remember the lessons the tree has taught us," she said. "We must use our gifts wisely and work together." Throughout the day, we prepared for the coming confrontation, but instead of weapons, we gathered our talents and the wisdom we had gained from the golden fruits. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the village, Diallo and his large group returned. They carried crude weapons and wore angry expressions, but we were ready. Esme stepped forward, carrying a large pot. "Before any conflict, let us share a meal," she said, her voice warm and inviting. "I have prepared a feast using the knowledge gifted to me by our tree." The aroma that wafted from the pot was intoxicating. Even Diallo couldn't resist. As the strangers ate, their expressions softened, and the tension in the air began to dissipate. Next, Kwame approached, bearing gifts of exquisitely crafted tools. "These are for you," he said to Diallo's group, "made with the skill our tree has blessed me with." The strangers marveled at the beauty and functionality of the tools, their earlier hostility fading into admiration. Finally, little Amma stood in front of the group and began to tell a story. Her voice, imbued with the tree's magic, wove a tale of unity, compassion, and the true meaning of prosperity. By the time she finished, there wasn't a dry eye in the gathering. Diallo, his face etched with emotion, turned to his group. "We came here seeking power," he said, his voice thick. "But these people have shown us something far more valuable. They have shown us the power of community, of sharing, and of using our gifts to lift each other up." He turned to me, extending his hand. "We were wrong to try and take your tree. Instead, we ask if we might learn from you. Could our villagers become allies, sharing in the wisdom your tree has brought? My heart swelled with joy and pride as I clasped his hand. Of course, I replied. The golden palm tree's greatest lesson is that true prosperity comes from sharing and unity. You and your people are welcome here. In the weeks that followed, our village bustled with activity as we prepared for a grand festival to celebrate our new alliance with the village of Tangura. The golden palm tree seemed to glow even brighter, its leaves rustling with approval. On the day of the festival, the air was filled with music, laughter, and the tantalizing aroma of Esme's magical dishes. People from Kojani and Diallo's village of Tangura danced together, shared stories, and marveled at the beautifully crafted goods that were exchanged. As the celebration reached its peak, I found myself standing beneath the golden palm tree, watching the joyous scene before me. Children from both villages played together, weaving between the adults who chatted and laughed like old friends. A group of young ones noticed me and ran over, their eyes bright with excitement. "Coffee, coffee," little Daraya called out. "Will you tell us a story about the golden palm tree?" Our new friends from Tangura wanted to hear it too. I chuckled, sitting down on a nearby stool as the children gathered around me. "Very well," I said, my voice taking on the rhythmic cadence of a storyteller. "Let me tell you the tale of how a small seed brought our villages together and made us all stronger than ever." As I began the story, I noticed adults pausing in their festivities to listen as well. The golden palm tree seemed to lean in, its leaves rustling softly, as if it too was eager to hear its own tale. The stories of Kojani and its magical tree continued to be told, each one a reminder of the power of unity, kindness, and the magic that lies within each of us. As the festival continued long into the night, the tree's golden glow seemed to embrace all who gathered beneath it, a silent promise of more adventures to come. Thank you for watching African and African American Folktales. Please like this video, ring the notification bell, and consider becoming a subscriber. Your comments provide feedback that help us create entertaining content for your enjoyment.